This is part 16, preparation for NSE4 exam. Fortinet. ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access. It incorporates the principle of zero trust. ZTNA provides zero trust principle and enhanced security. Zero trust principle differentiates ZTNA from VPN. ZTNA establishes a secure session between an end entity and a network, while ensuring granular control over access to resources and exercising zero trust, regardless of the location of either the end entity or the network. ZTNA provides automatic encrypted tunnels, end entity to the ZTNA access proxy, and hidden resources. ZTNA components. First, ZTNA client can be with a web browser. Second, ZTNA access proxy. 3. Authentication on premises directory server or IDaaS, Identity as a Service. Security, ZTNA policy server and firewall. Dynamic access control is granular per session access. It's based on user identity, device identity, and risk profile. And policy. ZTNA is vendor specific. On-premise client with FortiClient for ZTNA provided by Fortinet. FortiClient EMS generates tags and a client digital certificate. FortiClient sends to the following information to the FortiClient EMS. EMS is Endpoint Management Server. FortiClient sends to Endpoint Management Server device attributes such as operation system type, user information, user ID, security posture of the device. ZTNA Step 1 is device identity validation. Endpoint connects to the ZTNA access proxy, then FortiGate challenges the endpoint for device identification. Endpoint sends the device's certificate to FortiGate, which had been issued by FortiClient EMS, Endpoint Management System. FortiGate applies the tags and rules associated with the device. ZTNA Step 2, User Authentication. FortiGate challenges the endpoint for user authentication. The user enters their credentials on the endpoint. FortiGate forwards the credentials to the authentication server, which could be Active Directory or LDAP directory, a database, or IDaaS, Identity as a Service. User's identity is validated and the user by authentication server, and then user identity roles are retrieved from the authentication server. Then users role are used by FortiGate to determine access to the network application. Step 3. Encrypted session established. Configuration. In IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, and ZTNA. Configuration in IPsec VPN requires installation. In SSL VPN, it doesn't require installation if using the web type. And for ZTNA, it requires installation of a ZTNA client. For IPsec VPN, it's flexible setup, mesh and star topologies. For SSL VPN, it's simpler setup. Only client to FortiGate, no user configuration settings. And the same for ZTNA. It's simpler setup, only client to FortiGate, no user configuration settings. For IPsec VPN, if does it secure and what level of OSI model? IPsec VPN secures network level of OSI model. SSL VPN secures transport to application levels. The same ZTNA, it secures transport to application levels. What implementation is required at the client? For IPsec VPN, VPN client application is required. For SSL VPN, web browser application or SSL VPN application is required. For ZTNA, ZTNA client is required. What access control to network resources after the session is established? As for IPsec VPN, no access control after user has established a VPN session. For SSL VPN, some granular access control as SSL connects to the specific applications and servers. For ZTNA, granular access control to specific applications based on user roles and based on the policy. Authentication. For IPsec VPNs, authentication between VPN client, app, and private network. For SSL VPN, authentication by the way of a login prompt from the browser. For ZTNA, both username, device, user and the device go through an authentication process and re-identified when required. What tunnel type is used for IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, and for ZTNA? For IPsec, tunnel type is IPsec tunnel only. For SSL VPN, session-based or tunnel. For ZTNA, session-based only. What is the type, category type? IPsec VPN is industry standard. SSL VPN and ZTNA, they are vendor specific. Question: which two traits are unique to ZTNA? It requires identity validation of device and user. Second, tunnel type is session-based only. Question 2. Which feature or principle differentiates ZTNA from VPN? Zero trust principle. Question 3. Which statement describes the zero trust approach that is based for ZTNA design? No device or user can be trusted inside or outside the network. Question 4. What is the characteristic of a secure access? Accounting is one of the characteristics. Question 5. Which three methods are common implementation of secure remote access? IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, and ZTNA are most common methods. ZTNA is a big part of this exam and a big part for preparation for Fortinet. And access control method that provides role-based application access. What methods does ZTNA use? First, client device identification. Second, authentication. Third, zero trust tags. ZTNA provides flexibility to manage both on-net and off-net users. ZTNA has two modes: ZTNA proxy for remote users and IP MAC-based access control on fabric devices for IT compliances and rules enforcement. What is the ZTNA workflow? Workflow is coming from to FortiClient EMS. It synchronizes ZTNA tags and certificates to enforce access control rules. And also there is ZTNA IP or MAC filtering. From internet, there is way we enforce ZTNA policy from internet to FortiClient EMS. There is ZTNA telemetry, and from on-fabric clients to FortiClient EMS, ZTNA telemetry. What are device roles? Device identity and trust are integral to ZTNA. Identity is established through client certificates. Trust is established between FortiClient, FortiEMS, and FortiGate devices. First, FortiClient. FortiClient provides endpoint information, device information, logged on users, and security posture. It obtains client certificate from FortiClient EMS endpoint management system servers from ZTNA Certificate Authority CA. FortiClient EMS issues and signs the client certificates. FortiClient User ID, UID, certificate serial number, EMS serial number. It synchronizes certificates to FortiGate. FortiClient EMS uses tagging rules to tag endpoints. FortiGate. FortiGate maintains continuous connection to FortiClient EMS to synchronize endpoint information. FortiClient UID, user identification, certificate serial number SN, EMS serial number, IP address, MAC address, and so on. When device information changes, FortiClient EMS updates FortiGate. FortiGate WAD daemon uses this information when processing ZTNA traffic. FortiClient. FortiClient provides comprehensive network security solution for endpoints while improving your visibility and control. FortiClient allows you to manage security of multiple endpoints from the FortiClient EMS, Endpoint Management System, and it allows you to manage endpoints locally and remotely, stationary or mobile, using FortiClient EMS. It supports multiple platform protection, Windows devices, Mac OS devices, Linux OS devices. They are for workstations, and also mobile devices such as Android devices and iOS devices. It also could be installed on Chromebooks. FortiClient is used with EMS, Endpoint Management System, to use all APT and security features. FortiClient must connect to FortiClient EMS to activate the license. You can change FortiClient configurations only from the management device. FortiClient is either used with FortiClient EMS or only in the security fabric. FortiClient enforces endpoint compliance and provides endpoint awareness. FortiClient automates prevention to known and unknown threats and provides secure remote access to corporate assets through VPN. FortiClient EMS, Endpoint Management System, is a security management solution that enables scalable and centralized management of multiple endpoints or computers, efficient and effective administration of endpoints running FortiClient. It provides the visibility across the networks to security, to share information and assign security profiles to endpoints. FortiClient EMS works with FortiClient web filter extension to provide web filtering for Google Chromebook users. FortiClient EMS is designed to meet the needs of small to large enterprises that deploy FortiClient on endpoints and provide web filtering for Google Chromebook users. Thank you.